What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Liam's shook when Finn orders Grace to come clean, and Lee and Sheila get a jarring surprise. Grace and Finn discuss what she did to Liam at the hospital. He begs her to keep their relationship a secret. Please, Finn. Grace protests that the bookies were coming after her and her daughters. Finn asks, what about Liam's daughters? He mentions that they might want more money. Grace is certain that won't happen and pleads to keep her medical license. Please, don't tell a soul. Finn doesn't even know who he's looking at right now and rants about her using Liam. Grace repeats she was trying to save her children. In case we forgot, she goes over what Reese did to Hope and Liam years ago. She hears Finn say that she did the same thing. She convinced Liam that he was dying. He can't keep quiet about this. Finn tells Grace, you need to confess. The possibility of his cancer returning will worry Liam. Grace pleads for more time. She'll lose her license and go to prison. She weeps, declaring that she will do anything for his silence. Finn finally says he won't tell Liam, but psych. Are you? Liam casually drops a bomb. Hope hangs up the phone at Bill's house and informs Liam that Ridge saved Brooke from a boat accident in Italy. Talk turns to Bill doting on him, and Liam says he's proven he'd do anything for him in a million different ways. Hope's stunned to hear he spent $1 million for the surgery and wired it to Dr. Buckingham the moment she asked. Luna is where? Sheila is staring out into space at Il Giardino. Deacon finally gets her attention, and she complains that she can't get a response from Lee. Why won't she tell her where Luna is and let her pay her respects? Deacon tells his wife that Luna is gone and it's a good thing she's out of their lives. The best thing she can do is put this out of her mind. Deacon assures Sheila that her granddaughter won't be returning, despite the fact that he has no idea what's going on at Lee's. At Lee's place, she strokes Luna's hair and asks her to hold on. I won't let this be the end for you. Lee realizes her niece/granddaughter needs more medicine. She doesn't want to leave her, but she has to make a run to the hospital. She is determined to provide her with the second chance she deserved long ago. Deacon now decides at the restaurant that he doesn't want to cause Sheila any more pain than she already has. Sheila is aware. Stroking his face, she decides she's going to find Finn, reminding him Steffi's out of town. Although she thinks they may get along since the shooting. Deacon is astonished by this. He warns that Sheila needs to hear the voice of reason. No one is ever going to see her again. Sheila walks into Lee's empty office, and April the lab tech appears to tell her doctor. Finnegan has taken a leave of absence from the hospital. Sheila cozies up to April and asks if she can help her locate Luna's remains, and muses that Luna's death must have affected Lee more than she thought. Lee is leaving her residence right now to go to the hospital. Sheila prods April to find out what they've done with Luna's remains. April checks on the system and finds out there's no record. She exits and Sheila's about to follow when Lee enters. They crash into each other and medications spill from Finnegan's handbag. As Lee scrambles to collect the meds, Sheila asks her to please tell her, where is my granddaughter? Will Grace tell the truth? At Bill's place, Hope's trying to wrap her mind around Bill wiring the money to Grace before the procedure. Just then, Finn and Grace come in. She wants to leave because Liam has a visitor, but they take to gushing about her saving his life. They owe her so much. Hope makes sure to let her know how hard it was for her and Steffi, knowing their girls were going to lose their father. It's a miracle. Grace is praised by Liam for her bravery. Grace is not deserving of it. You have no idea what's really going on here. Finn says, go ahead, Grace. Inform them. Confirm Liam's diagnosis of brain cancer. Lee's medical supply grab goes wrong thanks to Sheila. The Bold and the Beautiful indicates that Lee Finnegan's medical supply grab went wrong thanks to a Sheila Sharp run-in. Some secrets were in jeopardy while others were revealed, so here's how Thursday's show played out. At the hospital, Grace Buckingham begged John Finnegan to keep quiet since she would lose her medical license and land in prison, but he was adamant that Liam Spencer deserved the truth. Although Finn admitted he wasn't going to tell Liam about the tumor scam, he insisted Grace was going to tell him instead. At the Spencer mansion, Hope Logan got off the phone with Brooke Logan, who was in the hospital as a precaution after all the chaos in Italy. Before returning to his tumor recovery, Liam discussed that with Hope. Hope was stunned when Liam confessed that Bill had wired $1 million before his life-saving surgery. Finn ultimately brought Grace to the house, so Liam and Hope started gushing with gratitude. Grace suggested she didn't deserve all the praise before Finn pushed her to tell Liam the truth about his brain cancer. That statement left both Hope and Liam looking worried on Thursday's B&B episode. At Il Giardino, Sheila was frustrated over Lee shutting her out and now allowing her to pay her final respects to Luna Nozawa. Deacon Sharp tried to convince Sheila that they were all better off now that dangerous Luna was gone for good. Meanwhile, Lee continued to dote on comatose Luna and realized she needed to make a trip to the hospital for more medications. Sheila wound up in Lee's office, where April the lab tech learned who she was and offered her condolences regarding Luna. April also gave Sheila updates on Lee's leave absence and left her taken aback over that news. April looked into the system and discovered that there was no record of Luna's body, so Sheila wondered if April could tell her where it had been taken. After April left, Lee popped up in her office next and literally ran into Sheila. That led to Lee's bag spilling, so the meds she was stealing for Luna landed all over the floor. While Lee worked to pick up everything she dropped, Sheila once again pushed for answers about where Luna was. Liam Spencer could barely process the whirlwind of chaos that had become his life lately, and that was before Finn walked into the hospital looking as if he'd been carrying the weight of a dozen guilty secrets, the kind of expression that made you instantly know something explosive was about to drop. But when John Finnegan pulled Grace Buckingham into a secluded corner and demanded that she finally come clean about what she'd done to Liam, the temperature in the room shifted. Grace, protesting right away that Finn didn't understand, that the bookies were coming after her and her daughters and she had been desperate, her voice trembling with the frantic conviction of someone clinging to the last strands of an excuse. But Finn, eyes flashing with disbelief, shot back, "What about Liam's daughters?" forcing her to confront that Beth and Kelly had been terrorized by the thought of losing their father, and when he pushed harder, pointing out that the shady people she was in bed with might not stop at what they'd already gotten and could very well demand more money, Grace insisted with a desperation that almost convinced herself that it wouldn't happen, begging him over and over not to tell a soul and to let her keep her medical license, tears slipping down her cheeks as she swore she'd do anything to keep her secret. But Finn couldn't reconcile the woman in front of him with the one he thought he knew, ranting about her using Liam as nothing more than a pawn in a high-stakes con, and when Grace repeated yet again that she was only trying to save her children, Finn's voice hardened as he reminded her of the pain Reese Buckingham had caused Hope and Liam years ago, a wound still raw in their memories. And when Grace weakly tried to claim it was different, Finn hammered her with the truth. She had done the exact same thing, convincing Liam he was dying from brain cancer when it was nothing more than a lie backed up by faked scans and dangerous medication, and that made him unable to keep quiet, telling her point-blank, "You need to confess," because otherwise the possibility of a cancer recurrence would hang over Liam's head like a guillotine for years. But Grace sobbed that she needed more time, terrified of losing everything and winding up in prison, her voice breaking as she vowed again to do anything for his silence, and for a heartbeat Finn's expression softened before he made her believe, just for a second, that he would keep her secret, only to follow it with a sharp twist of, "But you're going to tell him yourself," setting the stage for the bombshell to come. And meanwhile across town at Bill Spencer's sprawling mansion, Hope Logan had just hung up the phone after speaking to Brooke, learning that Ridge had dramatically saved her from a boating accident in Italy, her mind still spinning as she told Liam about it, and Liam, thinking of his father's unwavering devotion, remarked that Bill had proven a million different ways that he'd do anything for him, which led Hope's brows to knit in shock when Liam casually revealed that Bill had wired $1 million directly to Dr. Buckingham the moment Grace requested it for the supposedly life-saving surgery, the implication hitting her like a freight train even before the next shock began to take shape elsewhere, because at Il Giardino, Sheila Carter sat at a table staring into space so intently that even Deacon Sharp had trouble snapping her out of it, her fixation squarely on Lee Finnegan's refusal to answer her calls or reveal where Luna Nozawa was so that Sheila could pay her respects, a phrase Deacon immediately rejected as unnecessary because, in his mind, Luna was gone and good riddance, advising Sheila to put it out of her mind, though Sheila, stroking Deacon's face with that eerie mix of menace and faux tenderness she perfected long ago, declared that she was going to find Finn since Steffi was out of town, hinting that maybe they could even get along now after the shooting incident, a thought that left Deacon blinking in disbelief before warning her to listen to reason, insisting that disappearing was the only safe path for her. But Sheila, of course, ignored him and instead slinked into Lee's empty office at the hospital where April, the ever-chatty lab tech, materialized to inform her that Dr. Finnegan was on a leave of absence, information that instantly had Sheila cozying up to her, oozing false sympathy as she inquired about Luna's remains and musing aloud that maybe Luna's death had impacted Lee more deeply than expected. And when April checked the system only to discover that there was no record whatsoever of Luna's body, Sheila's suspicion surged, her mind snapping puzzle pieces together until the picture became clear. Luna must still be alive and in Lee's care, which meant leverage if she played it right. But before she could dig further, April stepped away and Lee herself walked in, colliding with Sheila in the doorway, the force sending Lee's handbag to the floor and scattering the medications she had just swiped from the hospital for the still unconscious Luna, and as Lee frantically scrambled to gather them up, Sheila's voice sliced through the tension with a pointed, "Please tell me, where is my granddaughter?" While back at Bill's mansion, Hope was still piecing together the timeline of that $1 million transfer when the front door opened and in walked Finn with Grace in tow, Grace visibly tense as she tried to turn right around, claiming Liam had company, but the room filled instead with Liam and Hope showering her with gratitude, thanking her for saving Liam's life and remarking on how much they owed her. Hope even pointing out how she and Steffi had struggled with the thought of their little girls losing their father, calling it nothing short of a miracle that Grace had intervened, and Liam adding that her bravery had given him a second chance, praise that made Grace's skin crawl because she knew she was utterly undeserving, her eyes darting toward Finn in silent panic before she muttered that they had no idea what was really going on, and Finn, seeing her hesitation, pounced with, "Go ahead, Grace."